Oh,
Good morning, party passers. Echo. Good morning, participants. We will just wait a few more minutes for a few more participants to join and then begin the consultation for today. Thank you for logging in. We will start in about 5 minutes. Good morning, everyone. We're just waiting a few more minutes for a few more participants to join in, and then we will begin shortly. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the National Consultation for Academia for the Stockholm+50 conference. Before we begin, just a few housekeeping rules and reminders. One of my colleagues will be sharing a survey on the chat very soon. We would greatly appreciate it if you could just fill in the details on the survey so that we may record who has participated in today's discussion. Please also change your name as indicated on the screen, so just so that we're aware of who is also joining. Please keep your mic muted during the presentations. However, please unmute yourself during the group discussions and fully engage, share your opinions. No opinion is too small, so that we can have a very lively discussion. Lastly, a gentle reminder that this session is being live streamed and will be recorded. Thank you very much. I'd like to now invite Sugandhi Samarasinghe, the project manager for UNDP, to present the welcome remarks and objectives of the consultation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Theoni. I hope you can hear me well. Yes, good morning, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, I cordially and humbly invite all of you for this consultation on behalf of the Secretary of Ministry of Environment and UNDP. So it has been a pleasure to have all of you here with us today with a short notice. I hope that you had received the letters, official letters from the Secretary of Ministry of Environment and had some few minutes to glance through the letter. But for the benefit of you all, I would like to elaborate a little bit about why we are having this discussion today. While warmly welcoming all of you again, I would like to remind you it has gone 50 years after 1972, the commemoration of, in 1972, having this Stockholm conference for the first time, and UN had done it for human and environment, and in the same time UNEP has been formed with that conference. So after 50 years we are looking back and thinking how we can accelerate sustainable development goals within this decade of action, while thinking of how we should recover from COVID pandemic. So in this context, the General Assembly of UN has passed 2 resolutions to have Stockholm conference in the first week of June in order to have several objectives while commemorating these 50 years. So here we are again, because it is the high time to have these leadership dialogues in order to have this objective. If we consider what are these leadership dialogues, we are going to think we need to have a healthy planet, and it is for the prosperity of all, and this is the responsibility of all, and it gives an opportunity for all of us. So that's why during these 3 leadership dialogues, all countries going to discuss how fast the action should be taken, and then what are the means of having this COVID-19 recovery, and what are the dots which connect these environmental SDGs we are supporting to take the action for the benefit of our Mother Earth. So in this scenario here, that I would like to remind you, in order to heal the planet for the prosperity of all, everyone has their responsibility. In usual circumstances, we know that for the COPs and everything, people have been participating for these global events at national level. But here, in this instance, it has decided that the voice should be taken from everyone. So that's why that while UNEP is coordinating for global and regional consultations, UNDP is given the opportunity to conduct all the national consultations across the globe in order to assure that all the ideas from all the layers and representing all from public, non-public, private sector, civil society organizations, academia has been achieved and been communicated well for the national report. So this exercise plans to build a shared global vision on how to achieve our healthy planet through these sustainable development goals, how we should accelerate them, and how we should act fast in order to recover from COVID-19. Also, this will provide us some opportunity to provide clear recommendations for the governments, civil society, and academia and private sector and all in order to decide how our ongoing context. I mean, we have national determined contributions, we have NDCEP, we have green recovery plans, there are national environment action plans. All these things are there. Considering those, it will give the platform or framework to give clear recommendations for the country. Then thirdly, it will amplify the voices of everyone, like I was mentioning before, of the young, youth, women, men, and people from all the layers, while it will harness the recommendations through the insight of all of you. And finally, it will influence national and global dialogue in order to have a very good outcome. So with this, I will actually conclude my welcome and objective remarks, and I will cordially invite Dr. Manoj Ranavira to start explaining how the national report is going to be, to give the framework on what we are going to do today from this point onwards. Dr. Ranavira, over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sugandhi, and good morning to all of you. We have arranged a couple of presentations for you to get an understanding about today's setup before we start the actual consultations, in which I will be first sharing with you the technical reporting mechanism. But I believe you can see my screen clearly. In this technical reporting, that means how we are communicating your consultation inputs to the Stockholm+50 conference is via a technical report, where the structure is rigid. The organizers have given us the final the structure of the report, in which we have chapters. The national consultation at a glance, that indicates basically a set of statistics, the representation of the participants, their demographics, etc. And in chapter 2, we are going to clearly elaborate on them, our consultation process. We have to justify that is a true representation of the country. That's why we are conducting several, a large number of consultation events. In chapter 3, that is the chapter where your inputs will be communicated to the Stockholm+50 conference. We have a set of questions, and based on your responses, we will compile your answers and we will present your answers in the report to be presented in the Stockholm+50 conference representing the country. Here, actually, we have two segments. Overview of the main theme, and then the summary of the consultations. For each of the questions, we will prepare a summary and we will present it in the report. The details about these questions, etc., will be explained to you later by Mr. Senanayaka. And annexures is another place where all your views will be communicated as it is to the conference, and also to enhance the transparency of the report. If I go into the reporting process, essentially we are conducting several set of consultations to cover a broader cross-section of the country: the government sector, civil society, private sector, and finance, etc. And we are posing the same set of questions to each and every stakeholder groups, and we will collect your responses. But unfortunately, in the final report, we don't have huge space to put all your answers in exactly the same way. We have a very limited space, only 1,500 characters per question is available for us, that including the spaces. Therefore, we had to connect your different wave points, and we had to synthesize your answers, and we will have to provide a single response representing all the diverse opinions expressed during the consultation process. We will try to make sure at our level best to put all the views together and make a real rationale for your individual opinions expressed in different consultation sessions. Essentially, in certain cases, some of the ideas, or not essentially or rather inevitably, some of the ideas may not be fitting into it, not because it is not relevant or nothing like that, because we are not doing any moderation process. Rather, we are trying to just combine different opinions together and putting similar opinions together, so and so. Therefore, in certain responses, if it is falling far away from the main opinions or the common opinions, there is a little risk that opinion may not find a space in this very limited number of characters. But we are not dropping anything there. We are putting all your opinions as it is under annexes. Of course, you may question, okay, who is going to read the annexes, etc. But that will enhance the transparency of the report, because we will put all the minutes of the consultations into the report as annexes. Therefore, we can see, anybody can see the express opinions and what is presented there. So the transparency of the report can be enhanced, because we are reporting all your views as it is under minutes in the report. The next very important element is the validation, because that will ensure the opinion that you express is bringing the same gravity to the conference. We have two levels of validation. One is the stakeholder level. That means today, at the end of the session, we will have a plenary session. And you will be divided into 3 groups to handle each of the 3 leadership dialogue questions. And the participants of each of the groups has to present their findings to the rest of the group. For example, the group who is handling the leadership dialogue question 1 will be presenting their findings to the other 2 groups. Therefore, if there are different opinions from the other 2 groups, that could be accommodated. Basically, the plenary session is going to be kind of a brainstorming session and a kind of a refining session for the inputs that you have provided for the questions. So that is the session-wide, session level validation. And thereafter, after drafting the report, we are providing that report to the Ministry of Environment and the UNDP Sri Lanka, where they can validate at the country level. These 2 processes will ensure that your opinion is correctly reported in the technical report, or rather correctly presented in the technical report. The quality assurance of the technical report is a very important matter, because that will be directly, I would say, directly proportional to the to what extent it is representing the country's view. Therefore, the quality we have looked into in 3 domains. I would say the 3 pillars: the quality assurance in sampling, quality assurance in the data collection, and quality assurance in reporting. To ensure the quality assurance is sampling, that means we want to ensure that we are representing a true cross-section of the society, following the whole of the government and the whole of the society approach. Therefore, we are consulting quite a large number of different experts when we are preparing the report. in quality assurance in data collection, actually, the main problem here is not the language. Of course, we have trilingual translations, English, Sinhala, and Tamil. But beyond that, how individual will perceive the question is the very important thing. Although the language is quite simple, depending on the context, there's a chance people will perceive the questions differently. To prevent that one, we are explaining basically what the question really means. Therefore, everyone who is responding to the question has a very good understanding about what the question really means. Of course, answers will be different. Answers will be different, and it depends on the context and the exposure and the views of individual, which is perfectly fine. But we make sure that everyone participate in the question, be it from the academia or maybe the civil society or the state sector, whoever, they interpret the question in the same way. And the final bit is quality assurance. Actually, here we assure the quality through validation. We are not following any statistical tools because the questions are not tailored for such purposes. So the quality is assured through the validation process that I briefly explained you in the previous slide. So this is basically in a very short way how we are reporting the findings or the the views that you express in the consultation process. To set the background and to show you how the evaluation of the concept of sustainability, we have two more presentations. First, I will invite Dr. Shamen Vidanagamage to present the evolution of the sustainability concepts. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you, Dr. Manoj. Let me share. Yes. Thank you and good morning. The task that I have is to give a very brief introduction to evolution of sustainable development concept. I think we have a academia gathering. I don't have to go into details about what this is, but I will very briefly take you through what I have prepared for this, and which would cover the initiatives before 1972 as well as the initiatives after 1972, looking at the global context. And I will also quickly take you through a few of the initiatives that we have in Sri Lanka in line with the global initiatives. So sustainability is not something far to us. And if you look at the declaration of Mihintale Wildlife Sanctuary as a wildlife sanctuary way back in 3rd century BC, looking at the importance of nature and its constituents. Then in more recent history, the forestry has been the place where the sustainability has been used in their work. In early 18th century, the use of sustainable forest management has been there. Then in early 19th century, this has been used in fisheries, especially looking at maximum sustainable yield. Then there were many initiatives before 1972. I will just indicate some of them just to save time. So as we all know, from 1945 to 1970, with the new inventions, technology, so development took a new flight, and they were basically considered, that period is basically considered as the golden era for development. But unfortunately, that development is with certain issues which were realized subsequently, especially when looking at the environmental considerations and some of the equity related aspects. Therefore, there were organizations or institutions started at different time periods. If you look at some of those early institutions, looking at different aspects of environment, Sierra Club, they basically they are considered as the second such organization, non-governmental conservation organization established in 1892. Then Wildlife and Nature Protection Society also initiated our Sri Lankan organization, initiated 2 years later. And we have large number of other agencies like UN, IUCN, Resources for the Future, Worldwide Fund for Nature, Amnesty International looking at social aspects and justice, then Club of Rome in 1968. Likewise, there were so many such institutions up to 1972, where United Nations Environment Program was established in 1972. Not only these institutions, there were individuals who have looked at these aspects differently at a time where everybody was rallying around rapid economic development. So one such person, and who had been subsequently regarded as the founder of our modern environmental movement, Rachel Carson, with her work presented in Silent Spring, looking at indiscriminate use of pesticides, especially looking at DDT, she put forward the idea whether things can happen this way. So the environmental implications of those things were highlighted. Subsequently, there were many others, including Kenneth Balding's work on Spaceship Earth, basically popularizing that concept, trying to highlight the planetary boundaries and what would happen with the increased population growth. Then there were legislature came into being, especially the National Environmental Policy Act by US came into being in 1969, can be considered as the first of that kind. Subsequently, many other countries followed suit. Then the first Earth Day was held on April 22nd, 1970 in US, basically looking at the issues relating to, or the challenges in addressing environment while achieving development. Then in this slide, you have a lot, but I'm not going to get into details in this slide, but I will highlight some of the key aspects. So as we know, this slide summarized the half a century's environment-related global initiative beginning with 1972, Stockholm Human Environment Conference, to 22 Stockholm+ conference to be held at the same place in Stockholm, Sweden. And one of the key initiatives, as most of you all be familiar, the 1972, the publication, The Limits to Growth, put forward the concept after lengthy modeling exercises. They have presented that the current rate of growth in 70s will not allow us to get to a place where which could be sustaining. So they put forward the Club of Rome put forward the limits to growth in 1972, which also globally highlighted the importance of sustainable development. Then in 1980, the very important document was prepared by 3 conservation organizations, and they put forward the document called World Conservation Strategy. That is the place where the sustainable development has been first introduced, and we believe that it is the place where the phrase was coined. Then in 1987, the Brundtland Commission, the commission appointed by United Nations General Assembly, to look into the challenges and coming out from the environment and development issues. So they came up with Our Common Future, where the concept of sustainability has been popularized globally. Since then, there were many other events, especially 1992, we have the Rio Conference, in which the 3 global conventions were signed, Convention on United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, then the Biodiversity Convention, as well as United Nations Convention on Combating Desertification. Those 3 conventions were basically to address major issues at that time, plus they put forward the Agenda 21, the agenda for the 21st century. So likewise, there were many other issues and many other events globally took place. In 2000, we had UN Millennium Development Goals, which were there until 2015. And there were many other things. In 1997, the Kyoto Protocol was put forward to address the high level of greenhouse gases, and where the disparity between rich and the poor was somewhat addressed. Then in 2012, the Rio +20 conference was held, and where the sustainable consumption and production also has been put forward as something that needs to be done. More importantly, in 2012, the need for sustainable development goals were discussed. In the 2015 event, the sustainable development goals were introduced. And in 2015, the Paris Agreement also came into being. And all those things would be discussed to some extent in my next presenter, Dr. Sugatapala. And let's see, while those things were happening globally, what are the things that we have done in Sri Lanka? So we were not lagging behind, actually. So taking guidance from the World Conservation Strategy, Sri Lanka prepared National Conservation Strategy in 1988 with the leadership of Central Environmental Authority. Then Sri Lanka prepared its first National Environmental Action Plan covering the 4-year period in 1991. Subsequently, they have done that for 3 4-year durations. Then in 2009, National Action Plan for Harita Lanka program was introduced, which covered the period up to 2016. Then coming from those 3 Rio Conventions, Sri Lanka prepared many guidance and strategies. So I'm just highlighting some of them. On climate change, National Adaptation Plan for Climate Change Impacts in Sri Lanka was produced in 2016. It is valid up to 2025. Then National Biodiversity Strategic Action Plan was prepared in 2016, covering up to 2022 in response to Convention on Biological Diversity. And on desertification convention, the Sri Lanka prepared National Action Program for combating land degradation in Sri Lanka. And not only that, there were a few other things like the revised environmental policy and National Environmental Action Plan, plus nationally determined contributions. So with that, I will invite Dr. Sugatapala to give you the context covering some of those aspects, including NEET, NDCs, and green recovery. Over to you, Dr. Sugatapala. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Yeah, so let me share my presentation. Yeah, aim of my presentation is basically to build on what Dr. Shamin already presented, especially highlighting some of the key interventions or program initiated, which has led to this Stockholm+50 conference, the requirement of that. So I'll be talking on basically 5 key areas. First, basically, reiterating what already Dr. Shamin indicated, and earlier also speakers which indicate the importance of consideration, society and environment within the economic development. So we look at society, economy, and environment, the interlinkages. Then the key interventions initiated by the global community, which we also part of that, the 2030 agenda for sustainable development and sustainable development goals. Then we have Paris Agreement on climate change and national determined contribution in relation to Paris Agreement. Then especially in the local context, we just completed or are about to publish the National Environment Action Plan for the next 10 years. And especially with the COVID-19, the impact on the economy, the society, and especially the pathway towards sustainable development goals, which has to be reached by 2030. So we are looking at what we call the green recovery. or what you call green development as a pathway to sustainable development goals. So I will talking about those areas, especially highlighting the local, the context. Sorry. So firstly, the society, economy, and the environment. We have already heard that, you know, we can see that the economic development has, you know, contribute to many socio-economic developments for several decades. But this progression has increasingly taken by the same economic model we have been following, what you call linear economy, which lead to, you know, the overconsumption of resources, damage to environment. That's the topic today, basically. And then also it drives the climate change, which lead to multiple challenges for the development, especially in the context of sustainable development. So that's the issue we are facing. And when you look at this, the impact on environment can be seen as one of the major challenges which threaten the sustainability. As Dr. Sharma indicated earlier, this planetary boundaries is one of the lens through which we can understand this better. So this diagram indicate is updated, you know, planetary boundaries updated in 2022 this year. There are several areas we are now in the high risk region, beyond the safe region, beyond the planetary boundaries. The novel entities, the climate, you know, chemical pollution is one of the areas. Then biochemical flows, nitrogen, you know, and so on. That's another area. Land use system change has again gone into the unsustainable level. Then genetic diversity has been affected for years now. But recently now we are also seeing that climate change has passed the safer level. So we can see with you know, the coming into the going to the future, there are other areas where it can also give rise to that. So therefore, we have a real issue for sustainable development, especially marking through this effects on environment or impact on environment. So in that context, we have to understand what this sustainable development means. Dr. Sharma indicated that one earlier, but just to add to that one, the framework which try to address the sustainable challenges for sustainable development, and also putting forward a framework to address this issue, particularly agenda for sustainable development, and subsequently to support that, we have this the sustainable development goals. All of you are well aware of that one. We have 17 goals, 169 targets associated with that goals, as well as around 240 indicators, which will, while addressing these multiple challenges, which will indicate whether we have achieved the required, you know, level of sustainability by 2030, in 2016, 2030. Now we are almost halfway through. Now all the countries in the world, almost all the countries has endorsed this concept or rather this convention, including Sri Lanka. When we look at the SDGs, of course, we have 17 SDGs, but there are very fundamental features, the properties of SDGs, even 20th agenda, which basically explain what this sustainable development or sustainable development goals means. So therefore, the best way to understand SDGs and take action on that is by looking at this type of framework. One of the core principles, which talk about universality, leaving no one behind, interconnectedness, inclusiveness, and stakeholder partnership. Another innovative way of you know, looking at SDGs, what you call 5 Ps: the planet, people, prosperity, peace, and partnership. So it talk about planet. Planet means environment, the biosphere. The people mean the society. Prosperity means economy. So we see that here the 3 dimensions of sustainability, of course, there, under which we have several SDGs in each of these. But beyond that, the 20th agenda also talk about, within SDGs, the peace and partnership. Basically talk about the institutions and the partnership between different key stakeholders as a mandatory essential requirement to achieve sustainable development. So it's a very comprehensive areas together. these are all are integrated so that you can separate. But when you look at the set of SDGs which are more related to the environment, the planet, is listed here: water and sanitation, sustainable consumption, production, climate change, life underwater, life on Earth. So those are the ones very much related to environment. Of course, even other SDGs are having interconnectedness with these SDGs. So therefore, all the 17 SDGs will have implication of on environment too. But here, the context under which this Stockholm+50 conference is, formulated or will be deliberated by looking at the environment lenses, looking at SDGs through environment lenses. The reason is, when you look at the progression so far, the much lagging areas, even in Sri Lanka, is related to these SDGs, which are basically highlighting the importance of the environment. So those SDGs under environment have shown considerable, lagging behind towards sustainable development goals. So therefore, unless we have accelerated actions on those, we are not going to reach the expected, the global targets or the goals by 2030. Now this issue is not highlighted, after COVID. In fact, even the before COVID, when you look at the last 5 years, 2015 to 2019 or 2020, those 5 years, when you look back, when you look at the progression, it indicated that the progression is not, satisfactory. We are not moving, speed enough, or the advancing at the speed or scale enough to achieve SDGs. So this was highlighted even before COVID. Of course, COVID-19 has given further challenges. So, but then when you look at this issue, like what it highlighted then, like in 2019 to 2020, that we need more aggressive actions. That's called decade of actions, which will make the SDGs a reality. This basically talking about actions in 3 areas or 3 levels: the global, local, and people level. So all the levels we need these actions, and the areas, there are 3 areas in 3 levels. These 3 levels. One is we need more commitments from all, globally, locally, and from people level. We need more commitments. We have to mobilize everyone towards SDGs and everywhere. Second one, more ambition. We need, because of the progression is not adequate, we need the urgency is there, and also ambition. More ambition should be there. Finally, we need more actions, design new initiatives, innovative solutions, and so on. So those are the areas we need basically interventions in the coming years. Now, with the local progression, in Sri Lanka, we have this Sustainable Development Act published in 2017 in response to 2030 agenda. Then Sustainable Development Council has been established as the focal point to support the institutions, stakeholders to mainstream SDGs and so on. Presently, National Policy and Strategy on Sustainable Development of Sri Lanka has been drafted, and the mainstream of SDGs at national, provincial, and local levels being implemented, especially emphasis on localization of SDGs. And presently, local indicator framework has been established, and presently we have around 100 indicators among 240. Therefore, in Sri Lanka, we have issue in data. We have only data to evaluate our indicators, 100 indicators only. And present progression shows that a significant challenge still persists, like in the global country, locally, to achieve this 2030 agenda. And among these, the environment-related SDGs are the ones is lagging behind, as I indicated earlier. Then other aspect is basically looking at the climate action, which is one of the SDGs, but then we have a separate derivation, the Paris Agreement on climate change, and we have what we call national determined contribution. The target is basically through mitigation actions to limit the global warming below 2 degrees, but preferably limit to 1.5. That's the target by 2030. 2,100. In that case, we have committed to our interventions, the national determined contribution. We have pledged in different levels. It was initiated in 2016, and we had the readiness plan 2017 to 2019. Then updated NDCs, which were published very recently, July 2021, and then republished in September, which has put out series of NDCs covering mitigation, adaptation, loss and damage, then means of implementation, as well as how these are integrated to SDGs. Then locally, we have a new initiative. The new National Environment Action Plan has been drafted and about to now publish, which is again highlighted as Pathway for Sustainable Development Sri Lanka. So there again, there are 9 thematic areas. I'm not going to read it there, but then this will basically shape the environment sector towards sustainable development goals. So therefore, it's much more relevant to the today's discussion on the Stockholm+50, which is also in the same theme. So finally, the green recovery. Now, today we have seen that during COVID from 2019 onward, there's a much more impact on the development, the development, human development index has been negatively affected. So therefore, it started, although it started as a, the health shock. It has evolved to a social, economic, and of course, political shock now. So therefore, the way forward towards achieving sustainable goals is basically, deliberated as what you call build back better via green development. So all the countries, including Sri Lanka, is looking at how to, recover from COVID, but go beyond the COVID recovery, but, looking at the opportunities created by the COVID, and use those opportunities as a accelerated or more effective pathway to towards achieving sustainable development goals. So that's basically, I would just highlighted these areas will be basically covered in these 3 dialogues. We are going to get your feedback. So this, I would hope that this information will be useful for you to, respond to these questions. Thank you. If you have any questions or clarification for the earlier presentations, Dr. Manoj, Dr. Shamin earlier presented, and this one you can raise it. Otherwise, we can go into the leadership dialogue questions, which will be presented by Engineer Gamin Senaik. Thank you.
I am Tony. Good morning. Can I come in?
Sure. Yeah, go on. Yeah.
Good morning, sir, and Shamin and Dr. Gamini, Engineer Gamini. Actually, after around 17 Stock conference, and after that Rio plus Rio conference, and after Rio 20, there's another set of conference organized by Law of the Sea. They mainly focused on the ocean, right? After that, the Law of the Sea Convention really came into the picture. At the same time, now our ocean conference is very much active. Even last week, they held their ocean conference in Palau. So they mainly focused on the ocean issues. Therefore, I think in this Stockholm Plus conference also, yes, we had to discuss about the COVID and other current issues, and again SDGs. But in SDG, I know SDG 14 is again life underwater. But as a country, Sri Lanka, coastal nation, and having a larger ocean around us, and we are depending on the ocean, and again we are polluting the ocean. I think we have, as a country, we have to give a big priority to ocean issues, especially from northern Indian Ocean region. Therefore, in Sri Lankan context, I propose that to the whole the Sri Lankan proposal. I think in addition to COVID and others, sustainability and other forest issues and others, I think we have to give a better priority for ocean issues, and that's my major concern. So when you think about the history of the evolution of Stockholm Conference, the Law of the Sea and Ocean Conference came alongside with that, facilitating and coordinating and linking both together. But that link missed a bit. That's why I just want to came in and give that the little input from my side. Thank you.
Thank you. Just quick response to Dr. Rani. Dr. Rani, in fact, we are having this dialogue to get that feedback. In fact, this will come in the next session where we are going to prioritize. That's one of the questions. What are the priorities? So therefore, in that one, we'll record these, responses, and then that will carry in our report as Dr. Maruti indicated. So therefore, this is exactly what we're going to discuss. But in the presentation, in fact, I know that there are many different areas which are important, but we didn't have time to cover this. So therefore, what we have presented is not very comprehensive, but we touch upon some of the key, maybe more broader, interventions like climate actions, SDGs, which touch upon all the different areas. But then, of course, as you indicated, we had to prioritize. So that prioritization is what we are going to do with this leadership dialogue questions. So the more specific, responses will be recorded with the groups discussion we are going to have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Over to Kamini.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Sugatappala, for this the clarification. Good morning, everyone. In fact, we are very pleased to meet you, and with a very short notice, your presence is really encouraging, and also we are very happy that we have worked with you in many different initiatives, and also in this initiative also you're with us now. We have a good background to the Stockholm 50 with the context, the presentation done by our colleague. Now, what we are now supposed to do is to understand what these three leadership dialogues are, and thereafter, Dr. Sugatappala responded. They have identified three dialogues and also set of standard questions for all countries and all stakeholder groups. But when we go into discussion, of course, the responses could be different based on our the experience, the local context, and all that. And then the Dr. Turney, as he said, we can take care of that. Then let me proceed. And also, I must tell you, we are going to have about 16 consultations, 50% physical, 50% virtual like this. And this is our very first virtual consultation in this initiative. And because of that, it is very important for us also to understand the changes we should make to this process. More than that, I think this is the most important group as far as we are concerned, because this is the most competent group to give the true response of the country. So in that sense, this is a very good consultation for us. Now, I will take you through these three bullet points, three leadership dialogues, then the standard set of questions given to us. Then also there's another question related to the Stockholm event, which is going to take place in early June. Now, these three leadership dialogues, I think it was mentioned by Ms. Sugandhi and later on by my other colleague. So these are the three things. The first dialogue is on for the healthy planet for the prosperity for all. So this is the first dialogue. Then the second one is the recovery from the COVID pandemic. It's not just recovery, inclusive and green recovery. So so we need to respond to the questions here. Then last dialogue is the acceleration of environmental dimension of sustainable development goals, as explained by Dr. Sugatappala a little while ago. So these are the three dialogues we have, or rather the organizers have suggested. So here too, we need to be guided by these three dialogues, and and this is how these things are described. These three dialogues. The first one is talking about the healthy planet and prosperity for all. Reflection on the urgent need for action to achieve a healthy planet and prosperity for all. That is number one. Number two is on sustainable and inclusive recovery from COVID. Achieving sustainable and inclusive recovery from coronavirus, COVID-19 pandemic. Then the final one, third one, is the environmental dimension of sustainable development. Accelerating the implementation in the context of the decade of action. So that means now from 22 to 2020 to 2030 is considered that the decade of action. Here too, we have already past 2 years. So these are the three dialogues suggested. And under each dialogue, the first one is a healthy planet. So here we are given 5 questions. So these questions are same for all the countries, and we are taking the same set of questions to all stakeholders group as they are. But the response will be different. Now, when you have a closer look at these questions, these are simple questions and they are interrelated. Yeah. Now, if you take the very first question, is asking about the good practice. Now, here our aim is to ensure a healthy planet for the prosperity for all. For that, the very first questions, they want us to tell them what are the good practices and the pathways we can, or either we have or we can suggest. How can we restore and regenerate a positive shift in nature? So there they don't expect a long list of the practices and pathways. Can you please unmute your? There are some disturbance coming from Mati. So we are not going to a very long list. We need to identify the most important 2 or 3 good practices for us to achieve the healthy planet for prosperity for all, and also the pathways for that. So that is the first question, the first part of the first question. And then the second part, how can we scale it up? Like to scale it up to enable the move into a healthy planet. So that is the first question. Then the second question, so for us to have these best practices, either to maintain them or to improve them, we need to have a set of actions. Yeah. So the second question is asking what are the actions that you as a group would like to scale up the change toward the healthy planet. Yeah. So scaling up, to scale up, what kind of actions we are suggesting. And then we know when you are thinking, when you are talking about the actions, for that to happen on the ground, we need to have the policy support. So what kind of policies, yeah? And also not only policy, the structure, the coordination mechanisms, interagency cooperation and all that. Policies and structures need to be in place for you to take such action. So this is the second question. So the question 2 is connected with the question 1. Then if you take question number 3 and 4, now we are turning into these groups. Question number 3, when you do such things, such action, the policies and, the good practices, sometimes there may be certain categories of the society who will be negatively affected. Yeah. So how can we ensure that they are also getting the benefit? Either, there will not be any negative implication, or how can we ensure that they are also being benefited? So that is the third question. How could marginalized and vulnerable groups benefit from policies and initiatives designed to restore a more sustainable and resilient relationship with the nature. Then going beyond that, number 4 is talking about safeguarding the entire, the humanity, the people and the nature, yeah, including among others, indigenous people, local communities, environment defenders, women, youth, and more importantly, even the future generation. So whatever we do today, whatever the policy we make today, we need to make sure that these 2 groups mentioned in number 3 are not the negatively affected, and also the interest of the other. So then the final questions here under the first dialogue. Now, once we start implementing these things, how can we ensure that we are in the right track? Yeah. So we need to have some indicators, some metrics to measure the progress towards the healthy planet and prosperity for all. So this is the set of questions for the dialogue 1. What we have done for to record your responses when you break into groups. So we have given a format like this for you to indicate. I'm not going through each and everything for all the questions. So we are giving a format like this so that during the plenary, one of you could present it for the inputs of other 2 groups. Then coming to the second dialogue, it is the green recovery or inclusive recovery from the COVID pandemic. Yeah. So here we have, all of us have gone through it, and we have a lot of experience, and we have done a lot of good things, and we have changed our lifestyles and so on and so forth. Is to understand, what went well, what we should avoid, this kind of thing. Now, if you look at the first question, it is asking what are the most promising, sustainable, and inclusive recovery practices currently being applied during the COVID or post-COVID, which we think are good practices, best practices. Yeah. It could be from the public sector, private, civil society, or individual level, community level, regional, country. At different levels, we have adapted many good practices. So the people like to know what these things are. And also these best practices, how can we scale them up? So that is the first question. The second question, also we have got rid of a lot of bad practices we had before. And it will be good for the other people also to understand what these things are. So the second question, the pre-existing practices need to be changed. Either get rid of these practices or change it to, change to the best practice. That is the second one. Then also now when we suggest these best practices and the bad practices, since it is a global event, shared vision at the end we are going to have. So it will be useful if all these best practices can be shared by the all communities and the all countries. Yeah. So that is the third question. How do we ensure that all countries, communities can benefit from opportunities stemming from the sustainable and justice? So now with these the best practices, there are a lot of new opportunities emerge. How can we benefit? Yeah. Then now the question number 4 and 5, we are now turning into the industry side, because we know with the COVID, this is a sector badly affected. Of course, the industries like garment did very well even during the COVID, and we were made to understand that even now they have expanded the markets and so on and so forth. But here the question is trying to understand how can we create better performing industries. Yeah. So we are talking about the green recovery, inclusive recovery, and also there had been a lot of problems with the supply chain. How can we create better supply chains? Yeah. Then also now here, of course, there are many different industries, industrial sectors, manufacturing, services, and so on and so forth. But here they would like us to identify most critical few sectors, maybe 2 or 3 sectors, where we should really focus and try to have this transformation. Yeah. Then question number 5. Now, once we identify these sectors, what are the commitments they have already made, or what the commitment they should make? And for the green recovery, what kind of responsible principles they should adopt? Okay, so here we are talking about these critical sectors, including the finance and institution. Then finally, with all these things, the green recovery, new opportunities, there will be a lot of green jobs opportunities created. So what these the green jobs? Then the second part of the last question, also for our this transition, the transformation, the green recovery, we need new set of skills for the academia, for the government, and also the business sector. So that is the last question. And for that also we have given format like this. I will not take your time to go through these things individually, that we could do when we get into group discussion. Then finally, the accelerating the environmental dimension of SDG to ensure that we will have the sustainable development. As Dr. Sugatapala said, we are lagging behind, especially the goals related to directly related to environment. There are 5 goals. So here again there are 6 questions. The first one, of course, we need to admit that we are not doing very well there. There are a lot of issues, challenges. Now they would like to understand what kind of challenges we are facing for us to implement the SDGs and also the other environmental commitments. And once we identify the challenges, what is the enabling environment we expect? Yeah, so that is the second part of the question. Then, like the first dialogue, again they are asking more or less a similar question: what are the good practices and the pathways? Yeah, to scale up. Then number 3, again similar to the dialogue 1. Now, if we are to do this, do we need to transform the governance system we have? The legal system, should there be any changes? Or the new things coming up? So how to transform governance and legal system that maintain long-term economic stability and ecological and social well-being. Then number 4 is also very important. A lot of people say underestimate the potential of public-private partnership, which is very important for economic development, sustainable development. And there, the organization would like to understand what measures are needed in our country to, to have a very effective public-private partnership, yeah, with existing commitment and priority. Then the last 2 questions, of course, that these are the supports in what we need. Now, we know that UN is supporting us for SDGs, Paris Agreement and all that, but they would like to understand what type of partnership from the UN and beyond are needed to accelerate the green and sustainable economic transformation. We are getting it, but do we need the further assistance? What kind of assistance? And then we have the opportunity of being specific there under question number 6. What kind of capacities we need to accelerate this implementation, and what kind of technologies we need? So that is the last question. So then these are the 3 sets of questions, and then again we have these formats, and finally now there is all countries are now getting ready for it, and there are a lot of the consultation going on, and this effort, I think it should at the end, there must be something coming out for the, the betterment of the world. So what they expect us to tell them, what kind of follow-up activities would you like to see from Stockholm 50? It should not just be a, the talk show, but there must be something real happening afterward, the shared vision to accelerate the implementation and the green recovery and to ensure a healthy planet. So with that, I will conclude this brief presentation. But when we break up into 3 groups, we can have even further discussion within the group. Yeah. Sugandhi, would you like to tell how the group, the discussion is going to happen? Teoni?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Engineer Senanayaka. I think Ms. Teoni and Pooja will come over to facilitate the breakout room session. Teoni, Pooja, over to you.
Thank you, Sugandhi. Thank you, Mr. Sennaika. So right now, all of the breakout rooms have been opened. The participants have the ability to select which breakout room they would like to join. So if you just click on the breakout room icon on the bottom of your screen on Zoom, you should be able to pick which breakout room you would like to go to and just select it.
Hello. Good morning. And the original deed in the Mari illa sir.
Just a gentle reminder to any participants who haven't already joined, you may now join one of the 3 breakout groups of your choice. You just need to select the breakout room option right at the bottom of your screen, and then you may move into the breakout room. Dr. Pradeepan, Dr. Kalpage, are you still with us?
Yeah. Actually, I am joining with 2 computers. I have already joined.
No problem. Okay.
Yeah.
Professor Ranasinghe, are you still?
I am here. I'm here. The only thing is now I have to leave because I had to attend another meeting at 11 in Colombo.
Of course. No problem at all. Thank you so much for joining us, Professor.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it if, you can email the presentations. They were really good. Is it possible?
Of course. Yes, it is possible. Also, our YouTube live stream link is also available. I will ask Pooja to share it with you.
Okay, that's really great. The session was wonderful, and well, please send me the sheet that you'll be sending to people for their ideas later on, and at night I will fill it and send it back to you.
Will do. Thank you, Professor.
Okay. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you. Take care. You too. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Professor Mantilake, we have actually opened breakout rooms at this moment. If you would like to join the breakout room, if you click on the bottom of the on your screen, there's a breakout room icon, and then you can choose which breakout room you want to go to.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Hello, Dr. Pereira. Thank you for joining. We have actually just opened breakout room groups. If you can click on the breakout room icon at the bottom of your screen, you can pick which group you'd like to join.
Okay. Where is it? Okay. Health plan. Celebrates. Think.
At the moment, we have very few participants in the second leadership dialogue that's about sustainable and sustainable, inclusive, and COVID recovery. If you'd like to, you can join that group or any of the other groups of your choice.
No, it's okay. Let's discuss about the what kind of a topic, like the development of the industry or any kind of some health recovery, or what is the meaning of that?
Yes, it's not just health. It looks at how industries could recover from COVID towards a sustainable and inclusive recovery. So looking at green development, sort of positioning Sri Lanka in that sort of transition.
I will select that
green
one.
development. Okay.
So how can I select this?
Just after you select the breakout room icon, you should see a little button which says join next to leadership dialogue 2.
All right. Okay.
Mr. Muzafiq? Hello? Mr. Muzafiq? Mr. Abhiratna? Hi, Mr. Udugama? Hello?
Hi, Tiffany.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Ma'am, we've already started the session and the consultants have actually broken the groups. We have three breakout rooms at the moment. If you just look down below, there'll be, if you click on breakout rooms, down below on your window, you'll find three separate breakout rooms. So these are three separate groups which will talk about specific areas in regards to this consultation.
Yes. Okay, so I can join any of these groups, yeah?
Yes, ma'am, yes. You can just click on one of the breakout rooms,
Join.
madam, and you can join.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Professor Rajapaksa. We have actually moved into breakout groups. The groups will actually be closing in about 5 minutes and sorry. Hello, Professor Marambe. The participants have actually moved into breakout groups at the moment.
Hello. It's now only I joined. That's why I was wondering.
All right. That breakout group sessions actually will be ending in about 2 minutes or so, and they will be returned.
Right. I will wait. I will wait.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Professor Marambe.
Hello, Theoni. We will need actually another 5 or 10 minutes. We
Okay.
don't know how is the situation with other groups.
No
We
problem.
automatically return to the main group based on
Yes.
others' time requirement. I think we can redecide and go back to our breakout rooms.
Okay, no problem. We have another 15. I need to wait until everybody returns to the main room and then I can reopen it.
So shall we break out again? Or?
Yes, I need to just wait until everybody has returned to the room and then I can break it out for further 10 minutes.
There's some more people joining. Huh?
No, now we are in the plenary session now.
Yeah, now everyone is.
Okay.
Mr. Sennaike, would you like us to reopen the breakout groups or?
Yeah,
Since we are running out of time, I think it's okay. I think we have added the important part of it.
Okay.
Professor Abhiratna, what I can type, still I can type that. What is the last point you mentioned?
Now you are talking about performance monitoring and performance things like that. I was telling presentation of those indicators across the countries so that we evaluate performance among different countries and then we can identify where we are.
Okay.
Mr. Senanaike, is there a possibility to give 5 minutes for other groups? Because I think they are having few questions to be answered.
Now, it is the same situation with our group as well. But I think most critical questions we have answered. But if you are giving us 5 more minutes, we also would like to go back to our
the rooms have been reopened, Mr. Sennaike.
Okay.
Thank you.
How many minutes you are giving us?
5 minutes, please.
5 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
Right. Anyway, yeah, thank you. I think that will at least give time.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Are we now the breakout?
Yes, Mr. Sennaike, you need to just reselect the icon and join.
Okay. I'm joining now. Okay.
If you would like, you can rejoin the breakout rooms. They have been reopened. You just need to click on the breakout room icon and then select which group you would like to return to. Mr. Sennaika, the breakout rooms have closed and everyone has returned to the main session.
Yes. Just give me a second. Okay. We all are back. Yeah. So can we start the presentation?
Yes.
Yeah, the group one.
Can I see the group slide?
Yes.
Okay. Professor Turney was the coordinator in the group, and I would like to invite Professor Turney to go through the slides. I will put it to presentation mode. Can you see them?
Thank you. Yes, Chairman, I can see.
Right.
Thank you, and thank you for the team for the support. Actually, all the ideas came as a team effort. So here our main the question was, as you know, what are the good practices and the pathways to achieve that? So we identified three main good practices. First one is to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Second one is to restoration and sustainable management of ecosystems, including marine, but we did not put marine here. But third one is sustainable consumption and production. To achieve reduced greenhouse gas emissions, is the pathways, the actions we selected promote renewable energy at domestic level, biogas, solar power at domestic level, and encourage public transport, life cycle thinking on different source to see what is better, designing high performance building. At the same time, we were thinking about designing of high efficiency in the industrial sectors. We had to include that here. Regarding the second one, restoration and sustainable management of ecosystems, we identified that establish and promote sustainable extraction methods, restore critical ecosystems like mangroves, coral reefs, or other tropical rainforest and others, prevent indiscriminate use of agrochemicals, safe disposal of effluent waste. Regarding sustainable consumption promotion, we identified as pathways, waste management at domestic and industrial levels, reduce degradable waste into fertilizer, non-degradable into recycling, use of low embodied energy materials. So those are our pathways or way forward or way outs. Chairman, the next one, please. Regarding the actions, we discussed that first one is to review policies related to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and identify gaps. And regarding policy perspective, we identified the following actions, but those are common to all our actions. Social responsibility of all, including individuals. It means individual social responsibility, because we talk about corporate social responsibility, but here we discuss about individual social responsibility, how individual can support this, and again overcome the gap between policy and practices, and again awareness raising on ecosystems, incorporate into curricula and build attitudes towards conservation. And again, restoration and sustainably management of ecosystems, we discussed that the same policies, but when we go to structures, again, some common structures, issuance of circular to implement policies, because for the moment, lots of policies are in document level, but the policies are not reflected in the legal setup. Therefore, convert those policies into the real rules and regulations in the country is a must. Therefore, we propose to convert those policies into legislations and incentive mechanisms to promote
renewable
energies, and again improve strengthening institutional intelligence coordination. We propose that to take maximum benefit from the policies. And again, how could marginalized and vulnerable people benefit from this? We regarding the greenhouse gases, again empowering local communities to contribute. Communities in contributing to local industry, and they can again harvest their own energy from those initiatives. And ecosystem restoration and management, they can become partners, they can benefit, and they can actually involve that. They become the shareholders naturally. And SCP, sustainable consumption production, and benefit from self-sufficiency. And again, SCP contributes to all other areas also. So these are the things, the benefits the marginalized communities can get. So how can you improve this, especially improve participation in decision making and implementing, because the local people then again come into the picture, the bottom-up approach. So their grievances will be heard. So that's how they benefit. At the same time, we can give some benefits to especially those marginalized or ill-treated people. Therefore, targeted benefits to affected parties. We can easily think of that and give them a better, or maybe some sensible solutions. Next one, please, Shana. Yeah, what are the indexes, metrics we can develop to this? For example, we thought of air quality index, water quality index, coverage of rainwater harvesting, innovations for recycling and forest cover, number of connections with renewable energy or biogases, building energy index and energy rating, waste generation per person. Those are the index metrics we can think of. And indicators we can think of for carbon and water footprint, number of climate related warnings, species composition. We can think of that as indicators of this. And what are the follow-up activities after Stockholm +50? So I think legally binding commitments from national level, because we discussed that all these the international conventions and other discussions and protocols all are voluntary basis. Therefore, countries are not really bound to do anything. They can still become a signatory and then still keep on their normal routines. But if we can make this be legally binding, I think countries become committed. It's a bit hard for us, but still at least countries will look into make things sustainable, because otherwise high production rate, high pollution rate, high climate change rate are not allowing us to do something for the environment. Therefore, make it legally binding is a must from our understanding. That's our team's idea, to set up milestones for implementation of achievements. Then we can see the progress, and again we can get technical support, capacity building programs on addressing main environmental issues from other countries and other UN or agencies. So whatever the parties, they can support us. And again, more platforms are needed for share experience and lessons learned. That is the things we can get. We can expect after Stockholm 50, and effective promotion of trans and multidisciplinary cooperation, collaboration. We expect. That's what we are. Our expectations. The expectations after Stockholm 50, and that's all from us, our team. And I must thank our team members for their active participation. And Shamin, over to you.
Thank you. Over to Ms. Senanaik.
So thank you, Dr. Turney. Thank you, Dr. Shamin. Now our team, the group number 2 presentation will be done by Dr. Jayalat. Dr. Jayalat, I emailed the presentation. Did you get it, or you want me to share it?
Mr. Senanaik, I still cannot see it in my email. So probably you can share and allow me to control.
Okay.
Mr. Senanaik, can I come in? I think we need the response from other groups for the validation. Yes? So
sorry. Extremely sorry. Extremely sorry.
We can, Dr. Shaman, you can put the presentation, and then other 2 groups can comment, and then we can start the Jayalat presentation. Yeah.
That's right. I think, okay.
I think there's a comment from Professor Buddhi. We can start from there in the chat box. There's a comment. So.
Actually, I already responded to that. I think we can take that comment as a positive comment.
Right. Can you repeat that, because others also will learn from that one. Someone can,
There's some background noises.
yes, yeah.
Dr. Sukatapala, I'm Buddhimarami, attorney. With your permission, but I wanted you to use the term misuse after the indiscriminate use under item 2 in slide 1. I thought it would be
Marby, it's already done. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you.
Others also can come in, any particular response in other slides also before going into the next group.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We can take one by one, no? Yeah.
Anything on question number 2?
Yeah.
3? Four. And 5. Here we have not put them under matrix and indicators. They were just written, and I will arrange them in right order. Then the final common question to all. If there are no additional comments.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Yeah, Ms. Senak, I think we can go to the next one. Thank you.
I'm sharing it. Dr. Jalat, can you see the screen?
Yes, Mr. Senanak, I can see it.
You haven't got the email I sent.
I got it. I just now I got it. I was reading it, but I will use your one.
But if you can get it, yeah. So
no, that's okay. So if you can allow me to control, I request the
Okay.
remote control. So this is fine. If it goes anywhere wrong, I will use the one I got it. I just got it.
Yeah. Okay. You want me to stop sharing from this end?
No. You share it.
Okay.
You share it and allow me to control. Okay.
Okay.
Are you controlling it, Mr. Senanak?
How do I give the control to you?
I think Ms. Senak, you can control, then
yeah, we'll do it. Yes. Yeah. Because in interest of the time, we will go like this, Mr. Senanak. If you can control, if you can.
Yeah. I will take one by one. Maybe Dr.
Yes.
Dalat can also get the the feedback from the other two groups before we go to the second one. That way,
okay.
Yeah.
Shall we? Yeah. Shall we do it like that? Okay. Right. 11:57. So I can greet you as good morning to everyone. I'm Jailat Edrisingh, representing Peradani Engineering Faculty, and I joined this group because I had a special interest to look at the benefits of COVID-19 for various development processes in this country. Specifically, I looked at the possibilities of improving transport network. So I got into this group, and ultimately I was requested by others to make this presentation. So I'm thankful to Mr. Senanak and all the other members for contributing actively. So I'm presenting what our group shared their knowledge. So the first one is, what are the most promising sustainable and inclusive recovery practices, current recovery practices in public, private and civil society. We thought in public e-governance, mainly controlling various paper-based works and etc. through various codes like QR code, barcode and intelligent assessment systems. And then in privately, we can seriously look at the e-commerce, mainly cashless transactions, online auctioning, e-banking, mobile vendors. It is happening slowly, both in the utility sector as well as in private purchases. And in civil society, we realize this virtual communications, things like what is happening here, and education, childhood literacy are the benefits of this. And then work from home or either hybrid, or food security, things like promoting home gardening to at least to produce your requirements in your backyard, an emergency of new business opportunities, personal protective equipments, and things like poultry, livestock sector, etc. In the development through automation, more than manual to mechanization because of the COVID pandemic and the opportunities given from COVID pandemic. The question number 2 is...
shall we wait? Shall we wait?
Okay, yes,
feedback?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, okay. We can, what we thought is we can limit human touch through various codes like QR code and barcoding, etc. It can be entering your name, it can be entering your attendance, etc. So that will be a benefit for public. Now those days you may remember used to write, so that is one. And then e-commerce, you may know the COVID pandemic spreaded because of public transport and cash transfers. If we can control cash transactions and if we can motivate, that will benefit for the Sri Lankan economy. And then civil society, virtual communication, virtual meetings, virtual teaching, etc. If there's no comments or ideas, we can move to the next one.
Okay.
Yes. The next one is achieving sustainable and inclusive recovery from coronavirus.
Scaling up.
Yes. Yeah. Scaling up. Yes. Yep. So promoting and providing incentives for adoption of best practices like online activities, etc. It's promoting to activate more, and then providing incentives for those. Actually, now what is happening is you have to pay extra payment sometimes. If you get your online revenue license, you have to pay extra convenient cost or something. But we thought we should not only reduce those extra charges, give incentives, and imparting new knowledge, skills, attitudes to embrace ICT, confidence building to engage in cashless transactions. We found cashless transactions are not happening due to two main reasons. One is the knowledge. The other one is the fear of this safety, and then the attitude, and then improving regulatory systems to promote more and more cashless transactions. It can be again giving incentives, and then improving infrastructure wherever the infrastructure facilities is needed. So that is the second point to how to scale them up. Promote, provide incentives, maybe online activities, online meetings, online class, online transactions. Conducting programs, training programs, and awareness programs to improve their skills and then attitudes, etc. If there's no comments, Mr. Senanaika, the third one.
Okay.
If I miss anything, others can participate.
Yeah.
And then pre-existing practices need to be changed. Rigid financial regulations in the state sector is a major hindrance to promote this. We try to practice the rules and regulations implemented in 1930s and 40s, forgetting that we are in the 21st century. So we have to seriously look at these things. And then lack of knowledge, attitude and knowledge of some regulatory on e-transactions. Still, some professions look at the signature and paper bills, which is a main hindrance to moving from paper-based to online-based activities, and reluctance of sharing of resources in the state sector. You have the same facility in every other room. It can be publicly usable items, but there's a very, very acceptable reason for not sharing also, because of cumbersome procurement procedures. Users are scared at sharing their facilities with others in case they have to purchase a new one or go for repairs or buy at least a spare part. The procurement procedures are so cumbersome in this country. So those are the problems we noticed, we identified by the group to be identified and removed. Rigid financial regulations. All these procurement guidelines, we don't know whether it is to whether it is to accelerate to procurement or to give the authority to some groups to control. And that comes with the attitude and the knowledge or something, and then relaxedness of sharing the existing facilities with others. Yes, the third is how do we ensure that all countries, communities can benefit? To make opportunity to change irrelevant and obsolete practices, we can learn from developed countries, at least economically developed countries, what practices they use to reduce the time waste, and they learn from countries having best practices. In addition to going abroad and bringing bag loads of physical items, we can bring the knowledge and then spread that among the public. And then a proper monitoring mechanism when we get probably overseas or loans or grants, to have a proper monitoring mechanism also to adapt to new techniques to improve the green technologies and improve the efficiencies. The fourth one is how can we create better performing industries and supply chains. One is better utilization, multitasking workforce and management, altitudinal changes. Now we have clearly identified professionals like peons or drivers, various professionals. Sometimes we can multitask them, we can use them for multitasking. That will be a benefit. And then resource efficiency improvement. We can look at possible ways of improving the efficiency of the existing resources, especially minimizing resource waste, or probably doing joint work, collaborative work, etc. And then relevant changes to labor laws, flexible or less stringent, allowing them to work from home or work on free hours or flexible hours, etc. And then automation, elevating to the next level of IR. Sorry, I could not. Sorry,
Industrial revolution.
Industrial revolution.
Industrial
sorry,
revolution.
Yeah. Next level, whether it is within the industry 4, industry 4 is the highest, I think, industry 2 or industry 3, moving to the next industrial level, and the rationalizing import controls restrictions. They have facilities to minimize waste and responding global demand conditions for industry growth, and localizing sustainable development goals for incentivizing, giving incentives using localized sustainable development goals.
One, is it attitudinal changes or attitudinal changes of the management?
Actually, it's not altitudinal, it should be attitudinal changes. Sorry, it's a mistype. Yes, it's a typo.
It's a typo.
Attitudinal changes, as you know, especially in government sector. I don't know whether it is common in private sector. I am the man, without me nothing can happen, and I should sign, and I am the sole authority kind of people control the processes to show their existence without thinking about the total outcome. So we have to look at such aspects also. How can we create better performing supply chains? Shortening the supply chain, if you can identify localized.
Dr. Jayalat, can
yes.
I go to the first one?
Yes, Dr.
Just to a few, just
yes.
like localizing SDGs, probably we can highlight. It's not only the goals, but targets and indicators. Localizing SDG, target, goals, targets and indicators. Probably can add there. So
okay.
Usually localization is not the goal, but the targets and indicators. So just we can add there.
Yeah.
So
thank you. We heard you're extensively working on that when we discussed. Your name also came up. Yeah. So Gamini, we can add that. I think you have the controls.
Okay, I'm taking.
Thank you, Dr. Sudha.
Yes, number one also, like number one. You talk about this. No, I think next one.
Previous,
management attitudinal changes of the industry or the workers. You know that you are talking about here the management, because it's within the management. I'm just looking at whether it's one aspect, the change of the workforce in the people.
Yes.
Then we are also looking at the enterprise level, what you call the institution level, attitudinal changes, what, I don't know. This one is the correct question. No, now we are talking about attitudinal changes of individuals or the
we discuss individuals, Mr. Gamini, am I right?
Yes, right.
We discuss about the attitudes of individuals.
Okay, right.
At every level.
Right.
Not at the super level, even at the lower levels also.
Right. Sometimes also we have a situation where we have to also change the institution, particular learning organization, the society.
Okay.
Is it can be added to this one, or it's something different?
Yes.
Yes, I suppose. Now here we discuss if anything given outside their job description, they're reluctant to do. They bring their union powers, etc. to say it's not given in my appointment or in the work district work.
Yes.
Yeah,
I think we are talking about the human resources. So basically, that is individual. That's okay.
Yes.
I just want to clarify.
So that is what we discuss in our group. Yes.
Right. Thank you. You can go to the next one. Sorry.
Next one.
Okay.
Better performing supply chain, shortening supply chain, whether we can look at possibilities of having factories closer to where the raw materials are available. It may not be possible for all the industries, but wherever possible, and flexible supply chains and integrating with global supply chains by removing regulatory and trade barriers at different levels. It can be at customs, it can be at finance ministry level, etc. Whether we can look at those existing rules and regulations and improve for the betterment of the society. And then which industrial sectors are most critical? Needless to say, agriculture and food sector is more critical now. We experience long queues for various things, including food also, and growth prospects, and pharmaceutical, including Ayurvedic. We sometimes import from various other countries, though they are Ayurvedic, and it's good for earning and tourism, and the renewable energy sector. So those are few industrial sectors which is in a critical need of improving: agriculture, pharmaceutical, and renewable energy.
In the previous slide,
yes.
In the previous slide, by removing regulatory and trade barriers, rather than directly saying removing, can we just reassessing or just
okay,
so we cannot totally remove regulatory barriers.
Okay, to soften it, right? Okay, not to be too specific. Yes. Revisiting, modifying. Is that Dr.
Yes. Yes.
I think rationalizing is
rationalizing.
Rationalizing may be a better word. Yes. Rationalizing regulatory and trade barriers. Yeah, I agree. I think the other members also on the group will agree to that, I suppose.
I'm just looking at, sorry, again, just to add to that same point. Now we are talking about the shortening supply chain, basically look at decentralized supply chain and so on. So we look at the integrating, it can be even integrating to the national level also. Are you looking at that? But it's only the global level. Basically, we have decentralized one, link into national level supply chain. Is it captured here? Look at only the global. The global means outside the country.
Professor Abhiratna? Yeah. Professor Abhiratna, would you like to respond?
I think here it's very clear that we are talking about the global supply chain. I'm just wondering whether in the discussion we also talk about indicating the national level thing by the decentralized thing.
Yeah, I think
I can't see Professor Abhiratna in the list because he said he want to leave for some meeting or something.
Okay,
I can see him.
Yeah, Dr. Sugotapala, I think your point is maybe we can include in the very first one, shortening the supply chain. That means the optimizing the national supply chain.
Right.
Yeah. So that point I think can be there or even as a separate one. So the third point, what the Professor Abhiratna mentioned, now this is a problem. We are not integrated with the global supply chain, and we are trying to make everything here.
Yeah, the tree is very clear, and then I think that's a good key aspect. So that's okay. But I just want to see whether in the discussion, we had that thing also. Probably, as you say, shortening supply chain can capture those decentralized supply chain are integrated to the national level thing, something like that. Okay, thank you.
Okay, then moving to the next one, we have discussed
discuss it, yes.
And we didn't have time to get this, but the decent job, green jobs.
Decent green jobs, ICT sector and green technology, that is only what we could discuss even at that extended 5 minutes.
Then the new skills.
New skills. New skills needed. Resource efficiency, renewable energy, green production. Look at the efficiency of resource, maybe minimizing wastage, maybe looking at better use of resources. Again, knowledge, skills, and attitude also matters. And then, of course, renewable energy, another critical and crucial topic, and go for green production. I think that's all what we discussed now.
The last one.
This is the last one, yes. What kind of follow-up activities? More detailed action plan to promote most of these concepts we provided here, like online activities, and then ICT-based activities, and then mechanization, etc. And then post-monitoring and comparing performance with other countries. Post-monitoring for the donations or for loans, maybe, to tie up with some rules and regulations leading to the concepts we mentioned, and comparing and performance with other countries, comparing how the same job is done in other countries with the new technologies, whether we are also in par with them. So those were the ideas came up in our team. I did my level best to represent the department or group. Thank you very much. If there's anything, probably others also still there to respond.
The last slide also, I think we can get the response. Can you put that one also? Any response? From my side, just a clarification, like this more detailed action plan mean by us, right? By Sri Lanka, right? So not by the global community. So this action plan is by the country level, right? Or from the Stockholm, organizers, looking at the global thing and so on, they give a kind of action plan for us to localize.
Mr. Gamini, as I remember, it is both.
From that end, Dr. Sudapala, now it should not be, ended as a, just talk shop. There must be some concrete in the plan of action.
Right. Right. Okay.
So shall I stop sharing and giving it to the next group? Okay.
Thank you.
Group number 3.
So that's group number 3. We had a very good discussion. So I thank all these participants, our group. And finally, these findings, the feedback will be presented by, I forgot the name now, Chinta, right? So Chinta, you agree, right? So Ms. Chinta, you can come in. I will control the presentation.
Okay, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon. I am going to present of outcome of LD3 group. Firstly, what are the biggest challenges and also enabling environment? How do we create an enabling environment? Under this, the biggest challenges are the lack of awareness and competencies, particularly attitudes, lifestyle. Actually, knowledge component is not in a problem in our country, but we have to change our attitudes to adapt some new technologies. The particular attitudes, lifestyle on the environment at all the level, individual, institutional, and society. And the next one is the unsustainable use of natural resources and associated climate risk. Especially we have to think about here production and consumption, sustainable production and consumption. Then lack of holistic approach. These are the kind of challenges because we are different as a group we are working, but no holistic approach. Therefore, for that, policy incoherence and weak institutional coordination, integrated implementation, optimum management of. So I cannot see clearly the last sentence.
I read optimum management of infrastructure means non-optimum basically, and responsibility and accountability is not assigned properly. So those are the issues which leads to lack of holistic approach, and especially in addressing complex challenges, especially these are related to environment. So we just highlighted what are the elements in the holistic approach, but basically highlighting that we don't have a holistic approach in solving complex challenges, especially in the environment sector. Yeah, thank you. Any comments on these? These are the three we identified. Any concerns? Otherwise, we can go to the next one. No? I'll go to the next one.
In number 2, unsustainable use of natural resources and associated climate risks. Are they going together?
Chinta, you can, or any other member, you can come in and explain this. It's a challenge. What this mean? Any explanation from the group?
Actually, due to unsustainable use of natural resources, we are facing some climatic risk due to kind of energy. If we are not properly manage the energy things, even we know that kind of global warming, and it may cause for many climate disaster.
That's the meaning, right? Thank you.
I will go to the next one. The same thing we are looking at enabling environment, linked into the earlier three. First one is looking at the awareness education aspect. Second one looking at this unsustainable use of resources. Third one is lack of holistic approach. So align with that one, the enabling environment. These are given here. Yeah,
yes.
You can explain. Yeah.
Yes, educational reforms or formal education and in mainstreaming informal, non-formal modes, and also early childhood. It's also very important for having some attitudinal changes educations. And then legislation and enforcement, sustainability appraisals, and establishment of mechanism to review and update the implementation of policies and strategies under Sustainable Development Council. Those are the enabling environment for proposed challenges.
Again, any comments from the others in the other groups? We can go to the next one. Now here we are talking about
yes.
Chinta, we can explain.
Yes, we are here. We are consider about good practices and pathways. And good practices are the green infrastructure initiatives by the private sector. For that, we require to have regulations, standards, guidelines for mainstreaming the concept of all sectors. And the second one is regulatory schemes for sustainable management, EPL of industries, and EIA for new projects. The pathways are proper monitoring, enforcement, recognition for achievements, and penalties for violations. And third one is the eco-labeling, energy labeling for appliances and products. For pathways for that, introduce voluntary and mandatory schemes and monitoring of compliances.
Again, comments from other groups. This second question. Is it clear? Okay, I'll move to the third question. It's basically looking at this governance and legal system required to, present earlier. Chinta, you can explain again.
Yes, here how to transform governance system, strengthening the institution, including e-governance, aligning policies and mandate, learning through good practices. Second one is ensuring responsibilities and accountability, participatory approach, multi-stakeholder engagement. Third one is encourage generation of information through research in the local context to support the decision making. This is very important to have that the research in the local context.
Again, any comments on this? Question number 3, how to transform the governance systems. So these 4.53 key areas. I'll move to the next question. The same question, the legal system. Earlier we look at the governance. Here the legal system. Yeah, go on.
In here, how to transform legal systems are that strengthening the environmental police system and awareness on the applicable laws and regulations to mainstream provisions and enhance the respect to the legal systems.
Regulation to mainstream. I think provision word is not correct. I forgot now. Awareness on the applicable laws and regulation to mainstream the group. This word.
It was prevention.
Prevention, eh?
Prevention.
Oh, yes. Sorry for that.
Awareness on the applicable laws and regulations to mainstream prevention and enhance the respect to the legal system.
Right. If there's no question or additions or comments, I'll go to the next one.
Sir, I have actually a couple of additions for that. One is our legal system has a big barrier in actually making our citizens literal about the legal system. Therefore, I think education system has to embrace some part of that responsibility. So it includes this sustainable.
Yeah. So Manjula, I think we have look at this awareness, maybe an education on we can add there, no?
Yes, I think school system has to be referred there. Oh, school or some
education. Yeah. I think it covers all the sectors. So
yeah, the other thing, sir, second one is the simplification that I have first-hand experience in some of these people who are actually trying to impose some rules. For example, the dengue that curbing program. Now, some of the people are complaining after they impose some fines. After that, how they are the people who are suffering from these legal, barriers of the court proceedings, because they have to find their own time to go and appear for the court proceedings. And now they have decided, some say that now they have decided not to go ahead with fines. So cumbersome legal proceedings for the officers have hindered the applicable, at least.
letter. Sugandhi, you can switch off the others when you talk. Cumbersome
legal proceedings hindering or at least demoralizing the officers.
Not only officers, but also the other, communities and so on. Also, they will not even complain because it's this cumbersome procedure.
Yeah, that's true, sir. I think it has to be at least manageable.
Something like that. So we have added that one as a part of the feedback we got from the plenary session. That's okay, no? Addition here. Yeah, thank you. I think we'll go to the next one now. Question number 4.
Just 1 second. Can you go back to the previous one? Number 2. Number 2, the mainstream. I think it's not prevention. No, Regulation to maintain and enhance
regulation to
mainstream awareness and education, the applicable laws and regulation.
What we discussed there is basically when we don't have knowledge on the applicable laws and regulation, people will not take actions to, prevent that, so, and they are doing it sometimes without knowing there's a regulation. So how do you say here?
Is that the provisions you are talking about?
Provisions, mainstream, no, provision, not provisions. Like, for example, if I don't know the law, then I will make illegal thing without knowing this illegal, something like that. So therefore, people does not know there's a law even. So like, especially like SMEs, look at the industry,
awareness and education.
they don't know whether there's applicable law because that education awareness is not there. That's what we mean by this thing. Applicable laws, the particular entity does not know that there's a law, something like that.
In that case, Dr. Sugutapal, I think we need to reword this, no?
Yeah, that's right. So what do you say here?
Yeah. Awareness and education on the applicable laws and regulation to prevent, say, unintentional, to prevent unintentional
practices.
Unintentional
and harmful practices.
Unintentional harm and harmful practices. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So right. that what we say, that should go into all levels, no? Even the school level. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
Yeah, should cover all the levels. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, all levels. Yeah. Okay.
So that's question 3. Then question 4. Yeah, Chinta, we can go ahead.
What measures are needed to align public, private, and development finance? Here we propose that effective stakeholder engagement platform with clear roles, responsibilities, and benefits, and guidance and legal support for establishing and maintaining private-public partnership presently occurring at specific project level with limited partners. These are we proposed for that.
Any comment again on this? Yeah, number 5, looking at the expectation from partnership with UN and so on. So go on. Yeah.
Partnership from UN and beyond are needed. We actually required finance support and technology and innovation and information.
We could not write the sentence here, but just write the keywords. So I will include that, but these are basically saying that the requirement from the partnerships, one side finance, other one is the technology innovation, thirdly knowledge, the information, data information. Anything on that? I think that's the last question from all, but then sorry, we have 6 questions. So last one on the capacity and technologies. Yeah.
Capacities and technologies. Capacities for skills for implementation of particular intervention. For that, we require technologies for environmental monitoring technologies, air, water, soil, and ecosystems. And next capacities, we need to have regional laboratories within the country for monitoring. It's kind of accredited laboratories we require.
Here, this technology thing is not related to only the skill thing, but it's a general, like it's not dependent each other. One, the capacity, there are 2, and technologies, we highlighted one of the area, the environmental monitoring technologies. It's not linked to the skill of implementation of particular intervention. It's a independent one. Thank you. Any comment on that? We didn't have time to complete this one in detail, but these are something came up with a very quick discussions. Finally, we have this common one, the follow-up activities. Yeah.
These are the follow-up activities, regular updates on the findings and action taken, and sharing of best practices from other countries. These are some suggestions.
What you see there is basically like we should get information regarding what the outcome of output of this discussion, but then also what's happening, in the future also as a regular updates. So this regular means go beyond Stockholm+50, that event, this event, but then regular updates should be there. That's one thing. Second one's talking about in the session, there will be a lot of best practices from different countries. So we want to share that.
Thank you very much.
And those are the the responses from group 3. Probably I will stop here. Thank you.
Sugandhi?
Thank you very much, Mr. Seraratne. Actually, we had a very productive 3.5 hours. I would take this opportunity to thank you all, because on behalf of Minister of Environment again, because Director IR, Ms. Janaki Amaratunga, was supposed to join us, but she had to attend some urgent meeting with the secretary. So on behalf of Minister of Environment, I would like to thank you all for your very valuable committed inputs and engagement during this time. And again, we are really happy because you all came through a very short notice. We know all of you engage with us most of the time with the ministries and all the demanding forums and committing your time and your valued input. So it is very precious to all of us. Then again, actually, you may know that you have opportunity to comment and give your feedback through the Spark Blue platform, where UNDP holds these interactive discussions, and all these discussions are fed into the Spark Blue, and you have opportunity to engage actively and comment constantly, because now at right now, across 14 days, we are having 16 consultations, because we want to assure very inclusive, correct consultations will be happened and validated and reported to the Stockholm conference. So the things on progress, and this is not the end, this is on progress. You can frequently engage with us until end May in order to submit the national report, and then engage with us for the follow-up activities of Stockholm+50. So that Dr. Sugatapala, Engineer Gamini Senanayake, Dr. Shamin, Dr. Ranavira, all of them have been supporting UNDP and Ministry of Environment to moderate these discussions. And from the day that you were invited, you engaged in surveys and you submitted information, and you will be engaging with us furthermore. So thank you very much and have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.